Well, greetings, everyone, and welcome to a very special online event today. It's called Experience a Taste of Divine Freedom. Unveil your true essence through a gentle relaxation of the egoic mind. My name is Stephen Dinan, and I'm the founder and president of the Shift Network, and I'm truly thrilled to be with you here, getting to dive deep with a really renowned teacher who I haven't actually personally met before. Her name is Brandon Bays. She's a best-selling author, seminar leader, and expert in mind-body healing, and she's really created a powerful pathway to spiritual awakening and growth that we're going to hear a lot about today. And I'm really excited that we also are going to have a chance to go much deeper with her in a brand new upcoming program called Free Your Divine Essence. So we'll share a little bit more about that towards the end of the hour. So with that said, thank you so much for joining us here today, Brandon.
You know, I'm absolutely thrilled and just delighted to share this time with everyone. And I'm praying we can just do a divine experiment together and dive in together and go deeper. So looking forward.
I love that, a divine experiment. So let's all take that philosophy into this hour together. So why don't we begin our journey with a little bit about your journey and backstory of like what really propelled you on this path that leading to your own divine freedom?
Well, you know, I think I'm kind of like everyone that's watching this, that we all of us came into this world knowing that there's more to us than just what you can see and touch. And I know for myself, I sensed as a young child that there was this, I couldn't give a name to it, but a greatness, a divine potential, some sort of something. And I had this longing to somehow get in touch with that. And by the time I got to university, the prayer was so fierce that I studied the kinds of subjects you would do to kind of get to know who you really are inside. And so psychology and comparative religion and philosophy. And yet I still didn't feel like I was getting access to this. And once I graduated from grad school, I dived deeply into the whole field of complementary medicine and personal growth, spiritual awakening, and studied with many great teachers along the way. And also sat with masters whenever I could find time and travel around the world to sit with them, and was very deeply graced by it all, accredited in so many different areas of complementary medicine. And when I was 39 years old, I happened to be at that time a presenter for Tony Robbins giving the Living Health seminar. So I was traveling around the world presenting a program on how to create radiant health. And I was living, breathing, walking my talk and abiding by all the principles in every way. And the last thing that I ever expected to have happen was to be diagnosed with a basketball-sized tumor. And it really sent me reeling. And I was catapulted on this life-changing, radical spiritual journey where I kind of had to throw away all my hard-earned knowledge, everything I knew, and I had to open into the unknown and was guided by grace to uncover a means for all of us to undergo our own journeys of healing, to get access to something that is called our cell memories. And there was a lot of pioneering work in science going on in the field of cellular healing at that time. And what science had found was that when we feel a strong emotion and we repress it, it releases a quantifiable biochemistry into our bloodstream, which will go to certain cellular locations and block them, rendering those cells incapable of communicating with the rest of the cells in the body. And if over time illness happens, obviously it happens where the cells are blocked. And conversely, what was also known to be true at that time is that they studied people who'd healed from serious illness without drugs or surgery. And they found that somehow spontaneously, they ended up opening into the infinite intelligence, into the part of you that makes your heart beat and your eyes shine, your hair grow, into this vast field of divine healing potential. And that somehow they were spontaneously guided to these cellular locations where the cells were blocked. And somehow were guided to release what was stored there. And so that when new cells were born, they were born devoid of that old programming as new regenerative cells. Now, I was at the cutting edge of what was happening in the field of cellular healing and had read all the statistics and all the science, but you can know all the science on the planet and understand how cellular healing is possible, but unless you have a method, it's no more than a bunch of pretty words on a page and a lot of inspiration. And that's where I stood. And so I kind of had to throw away everything I knew, and I was guided by grace to find a means for all of us to open into this divine healing potential and to be guided by our souls to these cellular locations, to release, let go, come to forgiveness, so that when new cells are born, they're born devoid of that old programming, that old consciousness as new regenerative cells. And so since that time, there's been this passion to serve life. And of course, that was 29 years ago. And so the work has evolved and expanded, and it's being used by medical doctors and psychologists, psychiatrists. There's even 3 hospitals in Israel where after you've had your heart operation, you go into a recovery center and they actually take you into a week long of journey work to get to the emotional corollary of what co-created the illness in the first place. Same place with the oncology hospital and also with the multiple sclerosis. And so they found that when you really got to the emotional root cause of what was co-creating the illness, it had a much better chance of healing and not returning. And so it's been quite a journey, and I feel passionate both about helping people to awaken to their true selves and to clear whatever blocks them, holds them back, so that they can live their life authentically from this divine self that is their essence.
Well, it's a super inspiring journey, and it is amazing what you turned that diagnosis into this journey that serves so many others. And so, I love this recognition that it's like these deep mystical states of connection with the divine are very practical, also in terms of channeling and into our cellular level and releasing programming and emotions that no longer serve. So, I'd love for you to maybe share a little bit more about that process of that you've evolved. It really is like opening to your divine essence and then grounding that in on a very cellular level.
You know, it was after I healed, and I healed in only 6.5 weeks' time, and without any medical intervention, though I, of course, went through the whole thing of getting diagnosed and all the scans done to begin with. And at the end of 6.5 weeks' time, I was in Cedars-Sinai Hospital, and they could find no evidence of the tumor anywhere. And I had spontaneously it occur 3 times during that 6.5 weeks period of time, that spontaneously I opened into this vast field of awareness, this presence that we all came in as. As a matter of fact, science will tell you that all of us came into this world as this vast field of peace, of love, of awareness, of freedom. As a matter of fact, we felt ourselves as young infants as being so connected to all of existence in this oneness, part of everything and all of life occurring in us, that when Mother's hand came before our eyes, we experienced Mother's hand as being part of ourselves. That's how vast this infinite field is, that is your essence, that is your soul. And yet, unfortunately, through the course of life's natural pains and trials, the traumas we experience, the negativities, the limitations, the pains that shut down, this radiant presence that you came in as, that is your own self, it got covered over with a series of shutdowns. And it could be something simple, like you're 3 years old and You're crying about something, and your mother says, come, come, come. We've got to get to nursery school. Dry the tears. We've got to go. And the younger you get said, oh, I'm not allowed to feel, at least not the feelings with the tears. And the first involuntary, automatic shutdown happens. And of course, when you start shutting down your emotions, one emotion, you start shutting them down, all the emotions. I can remember when I was about 8 years old, and I grew up in a domestically challenged childhood where there was a lot of brutal violence. And part of the way I used to escape was into my children's books. And if you loved reading as much as I loved reading, of course, I became good at reading and spelling. And so I was chosen for our elementary school to represent the third graders in this county-wide spelling bee that we were having, where all the grade schools were coming together and in the stadium, and all the parents were there, and all the students were there, and the teachers were there. And I was standing on stage, and I'd already spelled 3 difficult words. And then they gave me one of the easiest words in the English language, the word fleet. But I'd never seen the word fleet in any of my books that I'd read. But I had seen the word flea, an insect. And I stood there and I said, F-L-E-A-T. And the whole audience was hushed. And then it erupted into laughter. Now, no one had given me a manual. How do you deal with mass humiliation in front of all your friends and the parents and teachers? And I looked to my mom, who was sitting in the 3rd row, for her support. And she looked at me and as if I was the greatest disappointment in her life. And she just went, oh. And internally, it was as if this wall just came slamming down inside. And I went to go back to the back of the stage where the other losers were sitting. And that day I decided, I'm so stupid. People will just always laugh at me. I'll never be good at anything I do. I'll never amount to anything. I'm just a laughingstock. And it's like this, layer upon layer of shutdowns. I can remember when I was 16 years old, I got a crush on the guy for the first time, and I wanted to impress him. And well, you know how that went. And I made an absolute fool of myself. And I watched the first love of my life running out of my life, and I was running after him. And of course, that day, I decided I'm just so unattractive that no one that I'm in love with could ever fall in love with me. I'm just not lovable. I'm just not worthy of love. And so these beliefs and these emotions, at the peak of the experience, that's when you shut down. The biochemistry is released and goes to certain cell receptors. And then when we get to be adults, and it doesn't matter how many countries I travel to 39 countries, and the work is translated in 22 languages. And every country I go to, it's the same way as adults. We all put on this mask that we present to the world that says, I'm responsible, I'm reliable, you can count on me, and I'm trustworthy. And we wonder why it is. Everyone thinks we're so full of, you can finish that sentence. And then if you get to be very lucky, life gives you a wake-up call. Now, these wake-up calls can come in so many different forms. They can come in the form of a loss of a loved one or divorce. They can come in the form of a loss of a job or your livelihood. In my case, it came in the form of a serious illness, where for one moment you decide to get real and you crack through this phony mask that you've been presenting to the world, and spontaneously you start opening down through the layers of the lies, the shutdowns, the pain, the negative beliefs, and spontaneously you open into that vast field of love, that radiant awareness that you came in as, that enlightened awareness. And you realize it was there all along. Only like me, you identified with all the layers that covered it. And if you get to be very lucky, you fall so in love with the truth inside of you that, like me, you'll do just about anything to clear whatever blocks you, shuts you down, holds you back. So this vast field of love, this connection, this oneness that is your own soul, can live your life. So if I had to say in a nutshell, what is the journey really all about? It's about getting real. It's cracking through these masks that we present to the world, opening down through the pain, the lies, the traumas, the shutdowns, into this vast enlightened awareness that is your own soul. And it's at that deepest level that you turn the flashlight on inside. And you're guided by your own soul on a journey inside your body to uncover these old trapped cell memories, to uncover the traumas, the unspoken words, the beliefs that are stored there in your body that have been buried there all along. And you go through a deep and radical process of releasing the stored consciousness, letting go of the pain, coming to quite a profound understanding of what has happened to you in your life. And ultimately, through a process of forgiveness, where once you're forgiven, not only yourself, but others, life, God, that's when your soul decides it's ready now to let go of your whole story of pain. So that when new cells are born, they're born devoid of that old consciousness, that old programming, as new regenerative cells. And so that's what we're on about, is here, firstly, learning how to open into this vast field of oneness that is your own essence.
So beautifully described and really powerful what you just shared, Brandon. I'm wondering if we can dive a little more into the sort of the process of working with these areas of shutdowns. And so I think a lot of people probably get stuck in sort of in the identification with those, or trying to find that more vast, open, spacious, divine consciousness underneath. And somehow we kind of create that as a bit of a dichotomy internally. And so how do you sort of like soften through and open up to those layers in a way that sort of naturally unfolds into that deeper spacious awareness?
You know, I found for myself and in life that really our emotions are the gateway to our own soul. And that, you know, most of us, we feel a so-called negative emotion. And what happens is we drink it away, we smoke it away, we get on Facebook, we get on Netflix. We'll do just about anything to avoid feeling the emotion. And yet the emotions really are the opening into your own soul. And by pushing them away, denying them, sweeping them under the carpet, pretending they're not there, there is a way we divorce ourselves from our infinite self. We get disconnected. And I really learned this in a strong way after, it was about 3 months after I'd healed from that basketball-sized tumor. And as I mentioned earlier, I'd had spontaneous openings in this vast field of awareness that is our own essence into this part of you that makes your heart beat. And that had happened spontaneously, and yet I was looking for a way to get in touch with it in a sustained way, long enough for people to actually get access to those old blocked cells and clear their issues. And I was sitting once again with a master, and we had been sitting in meditation, so the room was just filled with the presence of peace. And there was a question and answer session afterwards, satsang. And one woman raised her hand and she said, I'm not feeling all this peace that everyone's feeling here. You all seem like bliss ninnies to me. I'm feeling anguish right now. I'm feeling tormented. How am I supposed to feel all this peace that everyone seems to be feeling? And the master said a radical thing. She said, just don't move. Stay still and go into the core of your worst emotion. And there you will find the peace that you're seeking. And I thought, whoa, that's a radical thing to say. I've been a therapist my whole adult life. And pretty much, if you go to a therapist, they're going to try to help you fix that. You go to a psychoanalyst, they're going to analyze you to death. You go to a hypnotherapist, they want to find out what past life created that. You go to a medical doctor, they're going to prescribe drugs. If you say you're tormented, they're going to give you drugs to handle it. You go to a massage therapist or a chiropractor, they want to find out what physical blocks are creating it. Everyone out there is trying to fix the so-called bad emotion. But she didn't say, fix it. She said something much worse. She said, go into the core of it, and there you'll find the peace that you're seeking. And even as much reverence and respect as I had for this teacher, I couldn't take that at face value because that's antithetical to everything that we've been taught out there. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to test this out for myself. I'm going to do a divine experiment here and really find out if what she's saying is true or it's just some, pretty philosophy. And so I decided I was going to take 5 days on a silent retreat because I didn't know how long this was going to take. And I was going to choose my worst emotion that no matter how much as a therapist I'd worked on it, I knew I still was hooked by it. And so I decided I was going to use this feeling like almost compulsion to really help other people, to serve them. Even if a client would call me at 3 a.m. who had depression in the middle of the night, I'd get up and I'd be there for them. I can remember I got pneumonia and I nearly lost my life with the emotion, with the pneumonia. And yet the whole time I had pneumonia, all I could feel was this crushing guilt on my chest, that I wasn't there to make dinner for our family, that I wasn't there at my seminars that I was supposed to be giving for Tony Robbins, that I was not there for my clients. And okay, it's lovely to feel a kindness, to support others, to help each other, but it had moved from being a natural thing to becoming a drive, a compulsion. And so I knew I was hooked. And so I went over to my answer machine and I put a message on it and I said, hey, this is Brandon. I'm taking 5 days into silent retreat. Please leave a message at the sound of the beep and I'll get back to you on Monday. And as I got ready to turn down the volume of the machine, all this panic started to arise. What if my daughter calls and she's in an auto accident? What if my husband calls me from the East Coast where he's giving a seminar? And this panic starts to rise. And I said, stop, Brandon. You've gone to India and sat in monasteries in silence for 3 months where no one could get hold of you. You're just panicking because you're going to have to face your worst emotion. And so I turned the volume down and decided I wasn't going to make any phone calls to help people. I wasn't going to receive any for help. I was not going to indulge this worst habit of mine. And I went into the living room and sat down in an armchair. And I thought, okay, what did she say? Go into the core of your worst emotion. There you'll find the peace you're seeking. And I thought, well, what is this worst emotion? And again, this compelling drive to have to be there for people, to support them, to serve them, to help them, to lift them up. And as I began to open with this, panic began arising again, so much fear. And I thought, I can't do this. I need to meditate. And for those of you that meditate, how successful do you think my meditation was with my mind going a million miles a minute? And I realized what I was doing. I was using meditation as an avoidance of feeling this emotion I was so afraid of feeling. And I recognized it was a game, an avoidance strategy I'd used my whole adult life. And I said, Brandon, you don't open your eyes and get real and just feel what's here. And again, this fear came up. And there came a point where I thought, I'm going to jump out of my skin. I'm going to run out of this process. And I didn't know this, but I actually had fear of feeling fear. And I've realized since then that most people do. We all have fear of feeling fear. And so I just held on to the chair. And at one point, I just stopped resisting the fear. I stopped fighting it. And something inside of me just let go. And I fell into a profound experience of loneliness. And it was like I was lonely, and the room was lonely, and the walls were lonely. And it was excruciating. And something inside of me decided not to fight it. And I let go. And I fell into a hopeless despair and a feeling that, if there's no one here helping people and no help is needed and no one requires that help, what's the point of even living? Who the hell am I without this helping game? And as I asked, who am I? A scrambling started to happen internally, like I was beginning to deconstruct or fall apart. And I fell into this vast field of nothingness, a black emptiness with a big black hole in the middle of it. And I now call this field the unknown. And I didn't know this, but we all have fear of the unknown. And this vast field of nothingness with this big black hole in the center of it, I was terrified of it. And I made myself rigid and stuck, and I held on for dear life because I'd seen what happened. Every time I relaxed and surrendered, I fell into the next place. And I was not going to fall into that black hole because I could lose my mind. I could die. I could cease to exist. And so I held on for dear life with all my will, and rivulets of sweat were pouring down my back, and I was fighting so hard. And there came a point where I knew that my will was going to cave. And I wasn't going to be able to fight any longer. And I asked myself the question, what if I were never to leave this place of hovering over this black hole and this field of nothing? And somehow the possibility of that seemed worse than facing it and opening into it. And so one little tiny part of me just surrendered a little bit. And I started free falling through the nothingness. And the body started to deconstruct and dissolve into formlessness. And then pinpricks of light, molecules of light, started pervading the room that I was in. And as I was resting in this light, it became a vast field of light that was in the village I was in. And I became aware as it got more and more expansive that it was pervading the whole universe. Unexpectedly, inadvertently, spontaneously, I'd fallen into my own soul. And I realized my soul was everywhere, pervading everything. It wasn't a passing state of meditation where I'd open into a state of peace, as I'd often done since I'd been meditating since I was 19. This was the direct realization that who I am and who I've always been pervades existence, is part of and in everything. And as I was resting as this vast field of peace, of light, of love, I looked at my life and I thought, what a joke, a big cosmic joke your whole life has been. Your whole life long, you've strived to be of service to others, to help others, to do what you could to serve life, just so you could feel a tiny modicum of self-worth and a little bit of peace inside, when all along the peace you were seeking was not available on the outside through your actions. It's always been here waiting for you, shining, pervading existence. It seemed like a big cosmic joke. And I made a vow then. From then forth, I was not going to be working in any of the old ways that I was trained and certified in. That if I was going to work with people, I was only willing to work with them at the level of the soul and let their souls guide them to uncover what they're here to be freed from, let go of, and find peace with.
What a beautiful up-leveling of your mission for how to serve too, and to release the tight, contracted way of serving, but into the vastness. And really beautiful story. And I know this could lead really into the experiential that you wanted to guide us in as well today, which is I love this divine experiment of today, and to really encourage people into their own divine experiment and falling into the vast soul that is behind all of the other identifications. So why don't you go ahead and take that away?
And so I thought we'd just do, as I called it earlier, this divine experiment, and just give it a shot, see what occurs for you. And so if you'd like to join me, just take a nice deep breath in and letting it out and closing your eyes and just taking a deep breath in of openness and breathing that into the room. And the willingness to meet whatever it is, whatever beliefs your own soul wishes to drive up and reveal to you. Just breathing that willingness to meet those beliefs and breathing that into the room. And then trust. Trust in your own soul, yourself, in life, in grace. Breathing trust into the room. And now letting your heart be as wide as the world. Wide enough to welcome all the beliefs that live inside of you. That's how vast this vast open sky of all acceptance is. And it's vast and open and spacious, free in front of you. Boundlessly vast and spacious behind you. Infinitely vast to all sides of you. And you're just resting as a vast open sky of all acceptance. And then welcoming into your own awareness, into this open sky, some of the beliefs that you may have had in the past about yourself. You know, beliefs like I shared in I'm not allowed to feel. Then I get numbed out because I can't feel anymore. I'm so stupid. I'll never be good at anything. I'm a laughing stock. In my case, I'm not lovable. I'm not worthy of love. And just bring into your awareness the kinds of beliefs that you've lived and accepted to be a reflection of who you are. And I'm going to ask you to not only bring up a belief right now, a negative belief, but to speak it out loud into your room. It's very important that it be spoken out loud into your room, because often we don't even know what the belief is until we voice it. And when it hits our own ears, it strikes us how we've actually lived with that belief our whole life. And so on the count of 3, just bringing up some belief that you've taken to believe about yourself, the roles you've played, the belief about yourself intrinsically, beliefs about your capabilities, your abilities at work, your creativity, your spiritual growth, any belief that's limiting in some way. So on the count of 3, just speak it out into your room. 1, 2, 3. Speaking it out. And then there are other beliefs. And once again, just any negative belief you may have had, just on the count of 3, just speak it out loud into your room. 1, 2, 3. Speaking it out loud again. Perhaps there's beliefs you have about your capabilities at work or at home. And again, once again, dig deep. What are some of the negative beliefs that you've had about yourself? Count of 3. Speak it out loud into the room. 1, 2, 3. And now other beliefs. Just let them tumble out. 1, 2, 3. Again, other beliefs. 1, 2, 3. Just keep emptying out negative beliefs. Just let them come pouring out now. 1, 2, 3. And now, of all these beliefs that you've spoken out loud into your room right now, which of these beliefs do you feel is the strongest, the most viscerally upsetting to you? I'm sure that it was, for me, it was that I'm not worthy of love. But I don't know what your belief is. But of all the beliefs that you spoke out loud or whispered out loud into your room, which was strongest? And speak that out into your room right now. 1, 2, 3. Speak out the strongest belief. And now asking if there were an even deeper belief in the core of that more surface belief. I wonder what that deeper belief might be. If there were a deeper belief, what might that deeper belief be? And even if you're not sure what it is, what might it be? And just speak that out loud into your room. 1, 2, 3. And if there were a foundational belief that was the real root of all the beliefs, that's sort of the ground, the carpet upon which all the beliefs that you've ever believed are stacked, if there were a foundational belief, what might that foundational belief be? And even if you're not sure of it, what might it be? And just speaking out into the room, that foundational belief now. Even if you're not clear about what it is, just speak something out. It'll become clear. 1, 2, 3. And now taking hold of this foundational belief as if it is like a carpet that's holding up all the other beliefs, like you know how they make card castles from cards, and as if this foundational belief is a carpet upon which all the other beliefs are stacked. Take hold of this foundational belief and right now rip it out. Just take hold of it and rip it away. Take hold of this foundational belief and rip it out. And let all the other beliefs cascade and let them all be swept out of the room. Taking hold of that foundational belief and ripping it out. And all the other beliefs cascade and are swept out of the room. And what remains here? When all beliefs have been swept out of the room, what's here? And asking yourself, without all these beliefs, now they've been swept out of the room, who am I? Feel yourself opening into your own essence. Who are you? Who are you when all beliefs have fallen away? What remains? Who are you? Who are you? Just resting here, soaking, steeping in this, as this something continues expanding. Who are you? And it's vast and spacious, open and free, boundlessly spacious and infinite, and free and endless to all sides. Just resting here, soaking, so that eyes open or eyes closed. Same. Taking a nice deep breath in. And sigh. Another nice deep breath in. And sighing it out. And one more nice deep breath in. And sigh it out. And awareness remains vast, spacious, scintillating, still. And you can open your eyes now into this presence. this that has always been and always will be who you really are. Taking another nice deep breath in, sighing it out. And if the eyes have not yet opened, this is your invitation to open your eyes now. And so this was a little taste, a little toe dip into this. And we're going to be diving in much deeper into this essence and learning how to live in this freedom, in this that is your true self.
Well, thank you, Brandon. What a profound guided process. Wow. And I love the going through the layers, because I recognized some scarcity around this one area is actually connected to feeling separate from God, and that actually is not true. And so it's just like these layers of belief systems and patterns get in place. And I think we often don't excavate under the next layer underneath. So that was really profound and beautiful to kind of just keep opening through the layers. I wonder if you can comment a bit more about how to continue that process. So I think that gives us a pathway to have a deepening through the layers, letting go of some of the false beliefs and ideas and patterns, and then opening to the vastness. Then how do you establish that as the baseline moving forward? What kind of approach do you like to take?
Well, I like to welcome people just to be wholly present to their emotions, to really embrace their emotions instead of running from them, avoiding from them, escaping, going out the doors of all the distractions, or sweeping them under the carpet. I feel the best solution is to embrace them. And as you really accept and welcome emotions, you will naturally be guided deeper and deeper into your own infinite self. And so instead of living a life of resistance to what is, there's living the life as an embrace. And this that you are is underneath, it's the substratum of all of existence. And we're going to be learning how to really be present to this awareness that is our essence. No matter what life throws our way, it is possible to stay still and be riveted here and let all the emotions come through and the negativities come through, the crises in life come through, the tumult come through, and yet there's something underneath it all that is unchanging, that is still and eternal, a peace that underlies all that passes by, and is possible to rest in that, to soak in that as a way of living life. And it gets more and more joyous as you're in touch with yourself, the real you. You naturally are grateful and glad to clear whatever blocks you, whatever holds you back or shuts you down on any level of being, so that this radiant presence can live your life. And it's why I call it a journey. I mean, I get a process when I've been on tour, and I was touring 44 weeks out of the year to the 39 countries I offer this work in, and in the 5 books that have been written and translated everywhere. And so every week I was getting a journey process. I never wanted to be so arrogant as to say, I've got it all handled. I know there's more than one cell memory stored inside of me. And I feel it's a great privilege and a gift to clear whatever blocks me or holds me back, shuts me down. So this diamond, this freedom, this love, this essence that is yourself, and live your life. And that's what my deepest prayer is for everyone, that we, all of us, take the lampshade off and that we live our life from the truth within. And it's why I'm giving this 7-step course over 7 weeks of time, is so for all of us to undergo the various process, anything that might block us or shut us down, so that we can live our lives from this love, from the truth of who you are. Live authentically in the world, not some yogi in a cave, but to live in the freedom that is who you are. And so that's what my prayer is. And it begins with you first beginning to embrace your emotion and going deeper and deeper. Your beliefs the same.
You are super inspiring. What a radiant example of what you teach. Thank you, Brandon, for your guidance and really your passion for liberating people from these different constraints that hold back our divine identity. Well, let's talk more explicitly about your upcoming program, since we've mentioned it a few times, and it really is an amazing opportunity to do this deep dive with you, to experience the benefits, to free yourself from so many unnecessary shackles. And so this program is called Free Your Divine Essence, a 7-step journey to liberate your true self from its egoic cage. You can find it laid out in detail at freeyourdivineessence.com, freeyourdivineessence.com. It's a 7-week program. There are no prerequisites, so it's really just if your spirit is guiding you to move forward and to take this exploration, take this time for yourself to shed things that are no longer serving you. And so, Brandon, I'd love for you to share in your own words about really the bigger why of like how does someone's life shift as a result of taking this journey with you?
Well, I think people start to feel very much more real. They feel more at home in themselves, more at peace with life. And instead, this last decade has been wild, with the pandemic, the war, the climate change, the polarization happening politically, loss of life, on and on, loss of jobs, the lockdowns. And I think all of us have felt that there's a lot of crises spinning around us. And this can help you find a place inside that is still and unaffected by the crises, and give you the ability from that guidedness where you're listening to the truth inside to guide you through and navigate through in a healthy way through these crises. I don't think we can change what life is throwing at us, but we can certainly change how we feel about it and how healthily we respond, and keep a groundedness, a peace, in touch with our own essence, so that we can listen deeper to that divine guidance that is always available to us. But what happens instead, we collapse and we become the thing that we're most afraid of. And what this invitation is to go deeper than that and to find the truth of who you are. So that truth can really not only liberate your life and allow you greater joy and freedom and more spontaneity and fun and laughter and just ease of being and sort of an effortless way of living life, but also a guided way, so that your truth, it knows what's right for you. Your own soul knows every millisecond that you have lived through in existence. And when you're in touch with it, there's such a graceful guidance that finds a way and navigates you through even the most difficult of life circumstances. You will find there's a peace that cannot go anywhere, that's here waking, sleeping, that is always here as soon as you put your awareness on it. And it can't go anywhere. Yeah.
Beautiful. Truly inspired. Well, so let's go through the course modules that really help build towards this incredible destination you're describing. So module 1, surrender to the now to experience the freedom of your true essence.
Yeah, I mean, the truth of the matter is as I described, most of us are involved in going from one crisis to the next, to the next, to the next. And, our mind is going to the future. Oh my God, what's going to happen next? Referring to the past. Oh, this is what happened in the past. That's going to affect how I did it and do it in the future. And very few of us have learned how to just rivet our attention into the now. And it's here in the stillness that's in the now, only available when you're present. that wordless guidance can begin guiding you to how to deal with all these crazy life experiences that we're all dancing with right now. And so it starts with learning how to let go of the struggle consciousness, how to locate that fight with life and to let it go and to come back home to the now.
Beautiful. Well, module 2 is called Dissolve the Cords of Attachment to Liberate Your Spirit and Soar in Freedom.
Yes, and we get attached not just to material things, but the roles that we play, the positions we have in life, the relationships we have, and this can loosen the strings of attachment so that you can dance more lightly with them. So you're not becoming a thing, but instead really dancing lightly with the attachments in your life.
Module 3, Embrace Your Emotions to Find Peace and Open the Gateway to Your Soul.
And we touched on that in this course, and we're actually going to learn how to do that, how to truly embrace emotion and discover the infinite peace that dwells within. That's a beautiful, beautiful session.
Module 4, Immerse Your Heart in a Sea of Gratitude to Become a Magnet for Grace.
And I found that gratitude itself, not words of gratitude, but actually experiential gratitude with a heart that's just bursting with it, it becomes a magnet so that grace can shower you with all that is longed for and blessed with.
Module 5, Surrender to the Omnipresence of Love for Deep Self-Acceptance.
Yes, so often we confuse personal love, this one-to-one love that we have with our loved ones and our partners and our children and our family. And we end up overlooking the omnipresence of love that is really holding all of this personal love in its embrace. And so it's allowing the personal to exist in the vast omnipresence of love that is your essence.
Module 6, Give Yourself the Gift of True Forgiveness for Profound Healing and True Inner Peace.
Yeah, and I found that forgiveness, not only of others and life and God, but forgiveness of yourself is the beginning of true healing. And so it's a profound way that facilitates healing of the body, of the heart, your life, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. True forgiveness.
And finally, Module 7, Shatter Preconceptions of Enlightenment to Experience Pure, Shining Awareness.
I love that module because all of us have notions and concepts about what enlightenment is. And in this joyous last session, we'll be shattering all those illusions and opening into the truth of what is already enlightened in ourselves. So that's a very joyous way to live in the freedom that is natural to you, that is actually your own essence.
What a glorious way to close. So what a beautiful offering that you're making here. And again, all the details are at freeyourdivineessence.com. I'll share a few other things about this as well. So Brandon will be teaching not only the 7 90-minute live sessions, you'll have time in those to do interactive exercises and get your questions answered. You also get recordings, video and audio of every session, so you can go back and really steep yourself in these practices and teachings. There's also word-for-word transcripts. There's weekly exercises for home. There's a Facebook community to deepen your experience and really build a global community. On the page, you'll also see a number of extra bonuses to enhance the value of your journey. There's a full audio program with Brandon called Befriending Your Emotions with Brandon Bays. There's also a full PDF ebook that's called Freedom Is. Brandon, you want to share a little bit about Freedom Is?
Yeah, just that this course is the first time I'm giving this 7-step course of deepening in freedom, and it's based in Freedom Is. And it's all about living in a very practical way in life, living in freedom. And it's a perfect accompaniment to this course. And you'll love immersing yourself in that book alongside taking this course. this deep immersion.
That's a great extra bonus. And there's one special bonus. There's actually two bonuses in one. It's a 2-part video mini course with Brandon called Grace Guided Decisions. That's your special bonus you get when you sign up right away. And we like to do this as a way to encourage you to tune in now and where you have the most information and most connection to really get a sense of this is the right next step for you. And if you do sign up today, you're going to get a special bonus for doing so, which is Grace Guided Decisions. So Brandon, you want to share a little bit about that 2-part video mini course?
Well, it's a fabulous way, because often we get caught up in our mind when we're making decisions, and then we question, is it the right decision? And then we don't know. And then we make that decision and we find ourselves at the bottom of the mountain and we think, oh my God, that's when I ignored listening to truth and instead listened to my mind. And so we're learning in a very practical way how to get in touch with that infinite intelligence, letting your soul make that decision, letting the decision be coming from your heart, and letting grace itself guide your decision. So it's a very experiential course that not just theoretically, but experientially, you're going to learn how to make those grace-guided decisions.
Beautiful bonus and a great reason to sign up early. So go ahead and check that out at freeyourdivineessence.com. And if you're getting sense to move forward today, then you've got that special bonus on grace-guided decisions. So it's truly going to be an amazing and blessed program. And we've kept the investment really accessible. It's just 3 payments of $128, or you save 10% when you pay in full upfront with 1 payment of $349. The course starts on July 6th and run Thursdays at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. But even if you can't make the live times, you do get the still full value of the transcripts, recordings, and the community as well. And I particularly encourage you to go and check out some of the testimonials, really some of the most eminent people of our day, from Lynn McTaggart to David Permal to Anthony Robbins to Gangaji, John Gray. Everybody endorses Brandon's work. It's really a testament to how she really lives her teachings, and it offers this profound synthesis of spiritual awakening and embodied healing in one package that so many people are endorsing her work and really celebrating the changes that can happen as a result. So again, you can find all the details at freeyourdivineessence.com, freeyourdivineessence.com, and you get that special bonus on grace-guided decisions when you sign up by midnight tonight. So Brandon, what a delightful time we've had together. Any just closing thoughts for folks who are considering going further with you?
Just that if you're on this call and this video and you're watching it, your soul brought you here, and it's not me calling you home. It's your own divine essence saying, it's time now to come home. It's time to take the lampshade off. It's time to start living from the truth of who you really are. And so, with all my heart, I welcome you. This is going to be a very deep dive, a full immersive retreat for 7 weeks shared together. And I welcome you and suggest you listen to the call of the heart. And I look forward to meeting you then. And until then, heartfelt namaste to everyone.
Well, deep namaste to you as well. Thank you, Brandon, for a beautiful time together and your offering from your soul to everyone else's. And if you'd like to go further with her, please do so and get all the details at freeyourdivineessence.com. And you will also get that bonus on Grace Guided Decisions when you sign up by midnight tonight. So thank you so much.
Namaste.